Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democratic congresswoman and presidential candidate, discusses the current state of American politics and her concerns about who truly runs the government. She argues that in many cases, especially recently, it's not the people voters elect who are making decisions. Gabbard points to President Biden's declining mental state as evidence that he is not the one calling the shots. She suggests that a cabal of Democratic elites, including figures like Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and others in the military-industrial complex, are actually in control. These individuals profit from keeping the country in a constant state of war and crisis. Gabbard expresses concern about the difficulty of holding people accountable in a democracy when the person voters chose is not actually making decisions. She argues that this situation has existed to some degree for a long time, but has become more pronounced recently. She sees the upcoming election as an opportunity for voters to hit the reset button and choose between the Democratic elite, likely represented by Kamala Harris, and Donald Trump, who she believes is not beholden to the same establishment interests. The conversation touches on the role of media in shaping political narratives. Gabbard discusses her experience speaking at CPAC as a Democrat and how her message of unity resonated with conservatives. She attributes her popularity among conservatives to her emphasis on constitutional principles, freedom, and limited government, values she believes the Democratic Party has abandoned. Gabbard expresses concern about the recent TikTok bill, which she sees as a violation of free speech. While acknowledging the potential dangers of TikTok, she argues that giving the government power to decide which platforms people can use for free speech sets a dangerous precedent. She believes the answer to problematic speech should always be more speech, not government censorship. The podcast delves into the changing relationship between religion and politics in America. Gabbard notes a growing antagonism towards religion, particularly Christianity, within the Democratic Party. She contrasts this with the party's historical inclusivity towards people of all faiths. She sees this shift as part of a broader attempt by some in the party to eliminate mentions of God from public life and to position themselves as the ultimate authority. Gabbard argues that this anti-religious stance stems from a desire for power and control. She suggests that those who believe in a higher power are less likely to blindly follow government authority, which threatens the power of political elites. Looking ahead to the 2024 election, Gabbard expresses serious concerns about the prospect of Kamala Harris becoming president. She describes Harris as incapable and unfit for the role, warning that she would be easily manipulated by unelected powers and might feel pressured to demonstrate strength through military action. She criticizes Harris's record in various political positions, arguing that she consistently put her own political interests ahead of those she was meant to serve. When asked who she would prefer as the Democratic nominee, Gabbard struggles to name anyone from the current party leadership. She expresses disappointment that no prominent Democrats have stood up against what she sees as extreme positions on issues like gender identity in sports. Reflecting on her own political journey, Gabbard discusses her transition from vice chair of the DNC to speaking at CPAC and eventually leaving the Democratic Party. She emphasizes that her core principles haven't changed, but the party has shifted dramatically away from its roots. Looking to the future, she expresses a desire to continue being a voice for truth, facts, and common sense. She hopes to inspire more people to recognize the power of their votes in course-correcting the country. While uncertain about her exact plans, she remains committed to finding ways to make a maximum impact and be of service. Throughout the conversation, Gabbard emphasizes the importance of critical thinking and not taking information at face value. She shares her approach of examining multiple perspectives on issues before drawing conclusions. She encourages listeners to be skeptical of narratives from both sides of the political aisle and to seek out facts for themselves. The podcast touches on various challenges facing American democracy. These include the influence of money in politics, the power of unelected officials, and the difficulty of effecting change within a two-party system. Gabbard expresses concern about the erosion of civil liberties, often in the name of national security, and the concentration of power in the executive branch. Gabbard discusses the rapid pace of media cycles and how quickly major events, like the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, fade from public consciousness. She criticizes the media's handling of such events, suggesting that narratives are often shaped to serve political interests rather than to inform the public accurately. The conversation explores the impact of social media on political discourse. Gabbard acknowledges the double-edged nature of platforms like X, which can serve as vital sources of real-time information during crises, but also contribute to the spread of misinformation. She emphasizes the need for individuals to be discerning consumers of information across all platforms. Drawing on her military background, Gabbard expresses deep concern about the current state of U.S. foreign policy. She warns that the country is closer to the brink of nuclear war than ever before in our lifetimes, with tensions high with Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. She criticizes what she sees as a knee-jerk tendency among some politicians to resort to military action or economic sanctions without fully considering the consequences. Despite the challenges she outlines, Gabbard expresses hope for the future of American politics. She believes that the apparent incompetence of many in power could actually be seen as reassuring, as it suggests that the bar for improvement is not impossibly high. She encourages listeners, especially young people, to get involved in politics and not be intimidated by the perceived qualifications of those currently in power. Throughout the conversation, Tulsi Gabbard presents herself as a voice for political reform and a return to foundational American principles. While critical of both major parties, she reserves particular criticism for what she sees as the Democratic Party's abandonment of its traditional values. Gabbard's message emphasizes the power of individual voters to effect change and the importance of critical thinking in navigating the complex landscape of modern American politics.